When you watched the tape of that game against Illinois, what did you see from the defensive line, and how can it improve?
Just being more physical, being more consistent. Like, it all starts with the front. We have to be able to stop the run, have to be able to affect the quarterback. When you're not doing those things, it makes it hard to protect other areas of the field. It all starts right there. So that right there is something that, that group has to set the tone every single week.
Any idea why they didn't set the tone that game?
No idea why. They got off to a slow start, unacceptable. We've already talked about it over the bye. They had a good week of practice. They're locked in this week, but starting fast and just controlling the front has been a huge emphasis.
What was the emphasis with the secondary, just kind of going over the course of this pack?
It was good to get a lot of guys reps in different spots, and really just taking it back to day one, like day one install stuff, basic technique, fundamentals, tackling, getting off blocks, man coverage, leverage, just small things like that.
The guys did talk a lot last week about starting fast. They need to start fast. So what did you do during the bye week to really make sure that happens? And what can you do like leading up to the game too, even in warm-ups?
I think it's just, you're prepared and you go out there and you execute. I don't think it's something that you can just, do in practice to magically pop up on the game. It's just, you emphasize it, you practice hard, you practice the right way, you try to stay as process oriented as you can, and just seeing, are we doing things the right way? And then on game day, when they hit the field, it's not like practice. We're on the sidelines. They have to go out there and, like I said, especially starting up front, they have to set the tone really for the entire team.
So when you say process oriented, how would you define the process at this point in the season?
We need to clean stuff up. We need to be more consistent up front. Linebacker-wise, need to be more consistent with our fits, and then just from a secondary standpoint, really being more consistent with everything.
When you say practice the right way, have they been practicing the right way since the loss?
Yes, they have.
And what has their response been since the loss, do you think?
It was good. We had a good bye. We had 3 or 4 competitive practices against the offense, and then this week has just been all locked in on Michigan.
Riddick was kind of thrown into the fire against Illinois. What do you see from him in gameplay?
Yeah, that was tough for him to do, man. I was super impressed. He didn't get a chance to enroll early, so he wasn't here at all in spring, and he missed a big portion of camp. So he's been behind on reps, but he went in there. One thing, he's super competitive. So he was competing every single play. He's super conscious. So every mistake he made, he was very, very locked in, understood why. He's typically not a kid that makes the same mistakes twice. There are some ups and downs, but he did a lot of good things out there. He did enough. We were excited about it, and we're excited about the direction he's going.
Michigan played this past weekend, obviously touted for the rushing attack, but what did you see out of them against Wisconsin?
They're a complete team. They obviously can run the ball, but as you look from week 1 to now, their passing game has kind of expanded each week. And you see the quarterback just getting more comfortable with the college game, with the speed of the game, and processing what he's getting from the defense. And I think you've seen him improve every single week. At this point, I think they're a complete offense.
What did you see from the 3 linebacker looks against Illinois, and what needs to happen to play 3 linebackers more often?
It really just depends on the team that we're playing. There's going to be times where we have 3 backers and be times we have 5 D linemen. It's just going to depend on the package.
What do you think of the 3 linebacker packages against Illinois?
They did some good things, and then there are some plays that we had to correct.
You talked a lot about getting stronger, more physical, bigger in the trenches coming into the season. Does this feel like a game where that's really tested?
Yeah, every team really from here on out is going to be tested. Every team from here on out has an offensive line that has the ability to control the line of scrimmage and has the ability to be able to control the game. So that's something that we have to respond, with our front 7 every single week.
What stands out in particular about Michigan's running?
They're very, very well coached. You can tell that they know what they're doing. Their offensive line plays very well together. It's probably the best backs we've played all year. Their tight ends are complete tight ends. They're very, very big. They can block, but they can also hurt you in the pass game. Like I said, it reminds you of an NFL team. It's a complete offense. They can beat you in the air. They can beat you with their interior run game. They could beat you on the edge. You kind of have to defend everything. But again, it starts up front.
How much confidence do you have in D? I know you already talked about him a little bit, but if he's progressing well, could Kamari potentially fall back into his normal spot in D play nickel?
Yeah, so that was the good thing over the bye, was being able to just pour into a ton of guys and get guys reps in spots where they've been getting reps, being able to get them just a lot of just concentrated reps back to back. And we have a lot of confidence in guys like D. We have a lot of confidence in guys like Alex when we're able to get him back. And the more those guys get reps, the more comfortable we'll be with them in games.
Where do you feel like Eric Gentry has maybe added most to his game coming into this season, and how important is he in a game like this when you have a mobile quarterback, you have a good run game?
I would say just with the personnel and some of the injuries, stuff like that, he's been doing a lot more off the ball stuff. Last year it was kind of like half and half, and I've just been impressed really with him taking that step off the ball. Like, you see him communicating a lot more. You see him calling plays out. You see him playing like an inside back or in the box. I just think he's getting more comfortable off the ball.
Did you see the defensive line take what Illinois did on the offensive line personally? Have you seen any of that the past couple of weeks?
I think the entire defense did, yeah.
Giving up the big play was a point of concern last year against Michigan. We saw a little bit of that against Illinois. How do you, in practice, emphasize stopping that?
I mean, it's tackling, it's getting off blocks. If there's an 8-yard curl that goes for 60 yards, we have to get them down. If there's a screen, we have 3 guys that can make the play. We have to get off the block. We have to know where our leverage is, and we have to just do small things like that.
I know you dealt with a mobile quarterback, Aiden Childs, before. Bryce Hunter's a little bit bigger.
He is, yeah.
How much different of a challenge is he maybe than?
They're similar. I would say he's probably a little bit more explosive. They both have really strong arms. They can make any throw on the field. I've just been impressed when you watch week 1 to week 2 to week 3 to week 4. You actually, you see him getting better and better each week. So, I think he's going to be a hell of a player.
Jermaine Carroll was spoken so highly of early in the season as far as conditioning goes. Now that we're quite a few games in, are you still seeing the results of that early season conditioning and maybe even what he's doing now too?
Yeah, the guys love Coach True. He's done a great job with him, and his entire staff have.
Coach, outside of Gentry, super young linebacker, and how do you feel his bias help with kind of the development of guys like Stevens, Walker, and
it's helped a lot. It's helped let their bodies heal some. That's the thing you don't take account for. That was really their first time playing in games, and just having that week to be able just to rest and heal up, and then again take things back to square one. Okay, let's just go back to basic fundamental things. But I think all the young guys in that group have improved.
Let's do one more.
Coach, what's been the vote of confidence that you've been instilling throughout this entire bye week?
Just playing our brand of ball. Just really just staying locked in and just talking about mental toughness, and really, regardless of what happens the play before, regardless of outside circumstance, just locked in and just playing our brand of ball and just being more consistent.